Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 2026 Select Board candidate. It's not really a debate. It's a forum. It's a candidate forum. I'm Kelly Green, and I'm going to be moderating the forum today. But I'd like to thank Chandler for hosting us, specifically Ben Rapton for organizing it, as well as a bunch of a surprising number of behind-the-scenes volunteers who are going to go unnamed, but you know who you are, so thank you. And Tim Calabro, the editor of the Herald. The Herald is hosting this forum. And Tim put a ton of work into it. We'd like to thank Orca Media, too, for being here. So how this is going to work. I'm going to stay seated. Yeah, that's probably right. Well, anyway, how this is going to work today is that we're going to give each of the candidates about 1 minute to introduce themselves to everybody. Ashley Lincoln had travel plans that were set when we organized this time frame. So she graciously pulled together answers to her questions and videotaped them. So she's going to appear by videotape. Each of the candidates received 5 questions in advance of the forum. Unlike some popular debates, this isn't a game of gotcha. This is actually, we just really want to know what people's thoughts are. So we wanted people to have a time to figure out what their thoughts are. And then we have a couple questions that we didn't reveal in advance, but that I'm pretty confident everybody can answer. And then if we have time, and we might, we will entertain written questions from the audience. Now, how we'll do that is, you can see right here, there is a little stack of paper and some pens. I'm actually going to move it over there by the sodas, or Tim is. And if you have a question that you want to write, you can do that and hang on to them until I tell you, and then we'll quickly vet them and see what we have time for. So thanks for coming. This is such a big turnout for 4:30 on a Sunday. So I'm really thrilled. So without further ado, we have Emery Mathias here. He's running for the 3-year seat, and we're going to have Ashley Lincoln here to my right on television. She's also running for the 3-year seat. So they're running against each other. For the 2-year seat, we have Bethany Silloway and we have Dustin Adams. And so, Dustin, why don't you take a minute or two and introduce yourself?
Okay. Did we do a mic check? Or
we did.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Dustin Adams, for those of you who know me. I'm glad to be here. I live right here in town in the Village. I work for the city of Baltimore in their IT department and have a degree in mathematics, and that's everything interesting about me in 1 minute.
Thanks so much. Let's hear from Bethany.
I think I want to hold it like that.
You can handle that any way you want.
I always yell at people in forums who are using microphones to hold it to their mouth so that we can hear you. So I got to practice what I preach here. Hello, Bethany Silloway, for those of you who don't know me. Thanks for coming out today to hear what we all have to say. I was born and raised in Braintree, Vermont, and spent my first 18 years of my life here in Randolph and Braintree, and attended all the schools here. Went off to North Carolina because there is warmer places in the world than this, which was nice for a while, and then came back and attended VTC. Went back to North Carolina for a little while, and then came back here and settled down and married my husband, John, who is a third-generation dairy farmer in Randolph Center, and that's where we live still. So now I'm never leaving because we'll always be here. What else is interesting about me? I've done a lot of community service here in the town, serving on many committees, participating, with Winterfest, the Economic Development Committee when it was going, the Rec Committee, coached youth sports for about 12 years now. I'm almost done. And what else? Or president of the Arts Bus still. Yeah, but thanks for being here. I'm excited about all the opportunities.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Emery Matthias. I moved to Vermont in 2017, and we chose Randolph in 2019. I was born in Indiana and raised there until I was 14, where then I also moved to North Carolina, the Appalachian Mountains, where I fell in love and wanted to stay. After college, I chose Vermont because I hiked the Long Trail and fell in love with the mountains, and also came to VLS. We chose Randolph in 2019, and a year after that is when I started first working for the town. I was an administrative assistant, and then I was lucky enough to be elected your town clerk and treasurer. I served a 3-year term, and then my second of 2 young sons was going to be born, and I chose to be a stay-at-home dad for a while. I now work at the State House seasonally, and I'm a house painter as well, that I have been since I was 18.
All right. We're going to hear from Ashley Lincoln via pre-recorded video.
Just audio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Audio. Okay. I think, maybe. All right, Tim. Okay.
Thank you, Tim Calabro and Kelly Green, for coordinating and hosting today's candidate forum. Due to pre-planned travel, I am unable to attend. I am Ashley Lincoln, and I have shared a bit of my background with the Herald, Front Porch Forum, and on Facebook. What I want to share today is the reason I am running. It is exciting to be joined by such capable candidates willing to serve. My interest is just that, to serve my community in a different capacity. I have no agenda, no burning issues to bring attention to. I want to serve all areas of our community, from the East Valley to Randolph Center to the Village, and find ways to enhance the good work those who came before me, and find opportunities to dig into issues that the board faces with a different set of eyes. I acknowledge that I am not an expert in all the issues facing the town, but I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and dive in to learn and navigate with others to find the best answers for Randolph.
Okay, I'm going to ask the questions. We're going to do them one at a time, and we'll give each candidate 3 minutes to respond. That's actually a long time, so most people probably won't take all 3 minutes to respond. Okay. The first question is, Randolph is beginning to work to update the town plan. As a select board member, what would your top 3 priorities be for the town that you'd like to see reflected in that plan? And for this, we're going to start with Bethany.
Lucky me. So I think my first thing that I would say is what I I want to see us bring back our kind of community forum like we did. It was, I think, maybe like 2017, 2016. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but we had the R3 program going on, and we hosted a lot of, right up here in this room, I remember having some great discussions, and a lot of people showed up and brought a lot of really wonderful ideas. Some of the big needs at that time were lodging for people and daycare. And those two things have happened, which is so cool to now be able to sit back and see those opening and thriving and being utilized. So I think we're back to that place where we need to do that again and really hear from our community of what they want to see and the needs. What I would bring to that community forum, because the things that I would like to see us work on. But again, if I were serving on the select board, I'd be listening to everyone and not just my ideas, obviously. One would be hosting that forum to start, so that way we can help with our town plan, and we're working towards goals that everybody wants to see happen. I would love to bring back some of the committees that we used to have at the town level. I've been lucky enough to sit on some of those in the past, and I think that they can offer a lot, like the Economic Development Committee, the Rec Committee. They're extensions of our staff at the town, and it's just kind of stretching their arms bigger to wrap around in a bigger way and to bring new ideas and different connections that we all have from the outside world, to bring more ideas and help to those staff members at the town office. So I think those are really important to bring back. What was my last thing? I already forgot. Just, I guess, looking to bring like community and vibrancy back. I think, again, when we hosted those community forums, we were on a really good track. Like, there was a lot of energy and excitement, and I really want to see us back in that place. COVID kind of stalled us, which is unfortunate. Kind of sent everybody inside, and we'd all been doing really good to come out and be together. So I think if we can get back in that direction where we're back together, having things like this, street festivals, bigger 4th of July celebrations, maybe someday bring the Winterfest back, not quite in the capacity we did before because it was a lot of work. But just bringing people together and kind of creating that strong community through all of us. So those would be my big things that I want to see. But obviously also keeping, the more I'm going to learn while I sit on the select board, keeping things affordable, keeping it a place people want to be and want to come to. I want my kids to maybe want to come back here someday and be able to do that. So those are things that will always be in the back of my head as well.
Thank you. Let's hear next from Dustin on this. Again, the question, Dustin, is what would your top 3 priorities be for the town as we rewrite the town plan?
Okay. I'm going to try to do this as well. Okay. Thank you. So, is this good? Thank you. For the town plan, I think the first thing I'd really like to see on there is a larger focus on building up the infrastructure around East Randolph. Oftentimes when we talk about town-wide issues, there tends to be a tendency to focus on the village as the town with some side discussions on our more rural communities. But we do have, outside of the village, 2 other villages, right? We have the Randolph Center Village, and we have East Randolph, which is a designated village center, which affords a lot of benefits from the state if the town so chooses to actually seek out those benefits and utilize them. 20 years ago, I think, 2005, Two Rivers actually drafted up a plan to put sidewalks in East Randolph, and that hasn't happened yet. I'd really like to see that happen. I think that should be in our town plan. It has a lot of potential. There are a lot of plans that have been made for East Randolph, and they've never been implemented. I want to see them in the town plan with concrete, timelines on this is when we're going to do it. Let's get it popping. 2, I'd like to see a broader push towards increasing pedestrian safety and walkability in this village here. I know that pedestrian safety is more than just a nice to have in a community. having communities where people who live in dense urban areas feel safe walking and are incentivized to walk have numerous benefits. We need to focus on that. We need to work with the experts from Walk, Bike, Roll, Randolph, and we need to listen to the people who live in the village to see what they need. If we want to have a vibrant, bustling downtown again, people need to be able to walk there. If we don't want cars to mow people down in the streets, cars need to slow down. We need to build roads and build sidewalk infrastructure to incentivize those cars to slow down without relying on third parties or other departments to do traffic easement in town. And the third thing I'd like to see in our town plan isn't really a thing I'd like to see in the town plan, but more of how I'd like the town plan to be built out. I'd really like there to be a focus, not just on general forums, but on engaging tenants and people with disabilities in our senior community to help craft our town plan and to make sure we're hearing everyone's voice in town, especially those who aren't part of the usual crowd. Not that the usual crowd's bad, but we need everyone's opinion when we build these things out. That's it.
Thank you very much. We're going to turn now to Ashley.
First, I would like to see the town plan update include a review of infrastructure in areas of improvement. Second, while our family business relies on undeveloped land, the zoning in Randolph could do more to allow for growth. The town needs to put policies in place that will allow for property owners to increase the inventory of affordable first-time homes for young working families. And third, I strongly support the availability of recreation in all areas of our community, not just the downtown. I'd like to see the exploration of trail and outdoor recreation development in Randolph Center and East Randolph.
And lastly, Emery.
Great. Like we're all pretty much in a line on this, which is awesome. So just a little background. The town plan we have to redo every 8 years. The last one, the process started and was completed in 2 years and 3 months. This one, we need to have it done by September of 2027. I believe we might have started just last month. That gives us about a year and a half. I know there is a big plan with our planning commission to have a lot of group discussions and have more people host, and I think that's great. We should really build that out, and we need to do it pretty fast because we have 9 months less than we did last round, 8 years ago. My point one would be ending vacancies and revitalizing our blighted properties. I did a very unofficial census of myself, and I found 24 of them without trying too hard. There's a lot of work we could be doing in that regard. We have the second point, we need better integration of pedestrian, biking, and public transportation and more recreational trails in Randolph Center and East Randolph. There is a proposal for Randolph Center. We have a huge easement for our road there, and so we have plenty of space to have a gravel path down Floyd's and beyond, and I think that would be lovely. East Randolph, there's not much walkability there. When I just drove through there yesterday, I watched as people walked pretty much in the middle of the road, which isn't so great in the snow, and also just doesn't feel comfortable to me, and I assume many others. And the third point would be upgrading and preserving our facilities. You may have read my opinions about the library. I am a big supporter of the library. I'm married to one of our librarians, to disclose that. But action item number one of our facilities portion of our current town plan is to continue to upgrade their building while maintaining the historic character. I'd argue that having the cupola and the stained glass in it continue to leak for over a decade doesn't abide by the town plan. I'd also like us to ask as a community whether we're the type of community that lets our libraries leak and our community halls crumble. And I think the answer is no. I would like us to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The second question is, Got to use my reading glasses. In the past several years, many have cited frustrations in working with the town government. Do you see that as a problem? And if so, what are your thoughts on addressing it? And we're going to actually start with Ashley on this question.
To a leadership position, I believe in holding people accountable to their job responsibilities. My own experience with town government has been positive and responsive. I believe the town employees and elected officials need to be helpful and provide professional and consistent service to residents. If there is a concern, please reach out so we can talk about it and appropriately remedy the issue in a timely fashion.
Emery, how about you?
My answer to the question is yes, it is a problem. I recognize I could have been more diplomatic in the past in bringing this to our attention, but I do believe it's been an open secret that our town manager can improve on his temperament and his public addressing of the public. It's been a known issue since he and I first started working together, and I was under the impression that the select board knew about it and was making amends. I have since learned this year that in the 5 years that they could have and should have given our town manager an annual performance evaluation, the select board failed to do so. I believe that it's a baseline responsibility of the select board, and they decided not to do that. I think an annual review would have allowed for these issues to be addressed without me having to be public about it, because I'm not here to try and cancel anyone. I believe he does good work, and I've worked alongside him for 3 years. But it is a big issue. It causes some morale issues among the employees, and there's been a lot of animosity between the public and the town officials. I don't think I'm quite helping the situation right now, but I'd like us to get past the criticisms and the bad feelings and work together to be a community and not be so insular. Thank you.
Thank you. Dustin. Let me read the question again, just to keep everybody oriented. In the past several years, many have cited frustrations in working with the town government. Do you see that as a problem? And if so, what are your thoughts on addressing it?
Thank you. Yes, I do see that as a slight problem. But I see there are two levels of government I believe we're talking about here. We're talking about government, like elected officials, right? And then we're talking about government employees that we interact with. I think Emery hit the nail on the head with how we should address the potential issues between the employees of the town and the public, right? Performance evaluations are pretty standard in all jobs. The supervisor of the town manager, the select board, should perform that. Nail on the head. But on the other side, on the side of the actual governing of the town, I think the current select board needs just a bit of a shakeup and to reframe their thinking and how they think about the general public. I've been going to select board meetings now for 7 or so months, and there's a consistent theme when issues are brought up or when public comments are made. The select board gets a bit defensive, and I think that's a bad way to act and hold yourself in government. I am running for this position, but the full knowledge and acknowledgement that lots of people would only talk to me as a select board member when they want me to do something or when they're upset with me, and that's perfectly valid. And I just think some new blood on the select board could fix that. And I think the current members who behave in that manner on occasion should be held accountable by any of us who are elected to the select board, since these issues are well known and pretty well documented, at least by word of mouth. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bethany?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the things that have already been mentioned. When I worked at Gifford for 12 years, and one of my roles there was the patient compliments and complaint department, which is kind of the hot seat quite often. Had my own security team. So I always would tell people, though, as they called to let us know about issues or concerns, thank you for telling us, because we don't know if you don't tell us. Sometimes, the people that are working somewhere are doing something, they kind of have their heads down, they're doing what they think they need to be doing, and there's like problems that are happening, and if no one tells us they're occurring, we can't be everywhere all the time. So I think people do need to speak up, as long as we're doing it in a respectful manner. We can't fix it if we don't know it's happening. So please come to us and tell us what your concerns are. I haven't gone to the town with a lot of concerns, but the times that I have, I did actually find Trevor to be very responsive. A few of the times I was actually directing kind of my concerns towards the select board, and Trevor gave me the response, and it was quick and timely, and I appreciated that. I was a little rather shocked, actually. So I think that was good, and I hope that people feel comfortable to raise those concerns or send an email. If you see us on the street, just obviously I think there's lots of rules and we can't talk about things, but just you do have to mention it so that we know it's occurring. So I think that's really important. Always open hearing, like I just said. I wanted to make sure that I got all the things I just noted down. So yeah, I think, again, these community forums are going to be really important for that as well, for people to just bring forward those ideas. And then also, don't be afraid to say when you really like something that's happening, because that helps people know they're on the right track or they're heading in the right direction. You don't always only have to come to the select board meeting when you're upset about something. I think it's good to echo when you like something that's happening too, so we can keep doing that if that's the role that I'm in. But
All right, thank you so much. Okay, here's the third question. This year's police budget is the fourth police budget since the town reinstated its own police force, after contracting with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. In those 4 years, the total police budget has increased 71%. From $523,000 to almost $900,000. The people living in the police district, which is roughly has the same boundaries as the village, represent 1/3 of the town's grand list, but pay 78% of this budget, about $700,000. Do you support this budget? And if so, why? If you do not support this budget, what do you propose instead? And for this question, we're going to start with Emery.
Thank you very much. I do not support this current police budget. I do support the police, and I really deeply appreciate Scott and JM and Chelsea and all that they do. But I don't think that our taxable police district boundaries is commensurate with the amount of money that we put into it. We either need to increase the taxable boundary of the police district, or we need to reduce the amount of money going towards our police. It doesn't seem to be sustainable for us in the police district. I am a homeowner. I am paying taxes in the police district, and it is a lot. I have not figured out exactly how much of my taxes goes towards the police district. Someone told me on theirs it was about $800. But I assume that was a nice house. I think that we do need to ask the rest of our community to add their voices to this. I think having just the village decide this isn't just, because there's a big benefit to having the police available when they need them. Our police do go out to Randolph Center and East Randolph and other places when the need arises. Those needs do come up occasionally. I've looked at the numbers, and it's not a huge need, but there is a need, I think we can reduce perhaps how often they patrol and just have them more accessible should we need to call them. I think that's a great way of reducing our budgets. I think we're also already planning and making some of that money in advance for a new proposed hush-hush police building. I don't know where it's proposed or what we're doing, but I think we're already saving money for it. We are not? That's great. What? No. Oh, we're not? Okay, never mind. I'd love to hear more about it soon, but I am still perplexed. You all have probably seen our police building. Maybe not the inside of it, but the outside looks a little rough, which is also our Historic Society building, just across from the post office. When I was leaving the town clerk's position, I had a little bit of time before our second child was born, and I was going to volunteer. In fact, I did volunteer my time and services to just paint the building, inside and out. Scott talked to me and gave me the tour, and it's a sad building. It's sad inside and out. It's not great to work in. We could at least spruce it up. I offered to do that for free. My offer was declined, and I still don't know why. I feel like we can rely on more of these volunteer services. We as a community can work together to do what we need to do.
Thank you.
Also, having this mic like this is so much better. Thank you.
We're going to move over here to Ashley.
Do I need to be closer?
Let me make sure I'm doing the right one. Hang on. I think it's this.
I support our local police department and the services they provide our community. The team works long hours, and these budget increases reflect the cost of the labor and benefits. I recognize that the village residents, businesses, and commercial owners are paying and benefit from this service. I am open to considering how these costs can be spread in a different way. If the budget doesn't pass, I will work with the staff and select board on finding the best solution, as we will be without local police presence, and the response from the Vermont State Police may take longer and be inconsistent.
Okay, and let's turn to Dustin next.
Excuse me a second. Just a second.
I'm sorry, we're not taking questions or comments, Tom.
Don't want to ask one. My question was, I didn't hear Ashley say whether she supported the budget or not.
I'm sorry.
If that was said, I heard she said, yes, I support the police, but I didn't hear anything about the budget. I just want to make sure I wasn't mishearing.
Thanks. We're going to move on and ask Dustin to answer. We're really tight on time, so I want to keep going.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. I do not support the police budget. Big shocker. I'm a resident here in the village. I pay my share of the police tax. Last year for myself, it was $285. And I have, I think, the smallest house in the village. It's, if you think you have a smaller one, we can talk after. But while there has been a 70% increase over the last few years, this year specifically, the part of the police revenue that's taxable, the amount raised by taxes, is going up 35% for village residents. So next year, I will be paying $385 for the police, which is a lot. I have a very small house. I don't intend on calling the police ever. And I'm paying over $1 a day for the police. And I think a more relevant question than if we support the police budget or not is what are we getting for all this money we spend, and what could we be getting? That's a lot of money. That's 1/6 of the budget-ish in total. There are many things we could spend money on. There are many things that the police do that they wouldn't have to do if we spent money on doing them. I mentioned traffic easement earlier. We can put speed bumps in the road. We can make the roads narrower. We can put up flashing signs to protect pedestrians. We don't need someone sitting at the firehouse 3 hours a day pulling people over. They only made 51 arrests last year. If you get rid of misdemeanors and warrant arrests, they made 28. We're spending a lot of money per arrest, and I don't think it's warranted. I don't think it's necessary. We're also budgeting for the number of police we would like to have. Now, the actual number we do have, I believe Scott said it was 2.5 officers at the select board meeting last month, but we're budgeting for 4.5. That's a lot of extra money, and where does it go at the end of the year? I believe it just gets wrapped up back into our general reserve fund that we vote on at the town meeting. So we could cut that immediately today, budget for the police we have, not the police we want. But I'll yield my time now. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bethany, thank you.
So I feel like we have to support this budget this year because if we don't, we won't have a police force anymore. If we lose our police force now, we are not going to get another one. The Vermont State Police are struggling with staffing, just like a lot of other places. They can barely provide support to the area that they service. We do not have a sheriff's department that is in any way around or helping us. And I fear that if we lose what we do have currently, we aren't going to get anything back. And we have a lot of other towns around us who are in that position right now and are really struggling to figure out what to do to provide that service. I think our police bring a lot to the community, and we need to get creative in working with the other places in town, like Clara Martin Center, the school, Gifford, and how we can partner with them to help share some of the costs or share staffing to try to help alleviate some of that expense that's involved. And just I think we can't lose them because their presence, and even though they might not be making a lot of arrests or pulling a lot of people over, just having that presence here brings peace and kind of a just safety aspect. I know a lot of businesses were really struggling when we didn't have a police department with people breaking in, stealing, taking gas. Like it's an unsettling feeling, and that's not a good way to grow our community. We want to bring business in to help with that tax burden. We want to create workforce housing to help with that tax burden. And people ask about those things. I used to give tours at Gifford to our incoming doctors, and they would often ask those types of questions. And, you want to be able to stand behind those things when they ask you that and tell them this is a great community to be in. So I think that we have to get creative, but we also have to keep what we have currently because it's pretty special. And I think we would really be sad to not have that and be in a situation where we can't get it back.
Thank you. Thank you, Bethany. Our next question is shockingly similar, but it's what's on people's minds, I think. So question 4 is, in addition to the police budget, many voters have expressed discontent with the overall cost of property taxes. Are there costs in the town's budget that you think can and should be reduced? Are there new programs or services you would like to add? And if so, how would you pay for them? For this, we're going to start with Dustin. He hasn't had a chance to go first.
This is my second time going first, but that's fine. It's even now. We're circling through. Thank you, Kelly. Yes, so property taxes are increasing. We all know that. We all feel that. I will point out, since I am going first, a large portion of our property taxes, as most of you know, is just the school taxes. As a select board member, there's not too much we can do about that. One thing we can do, though, is use our voice. I don't think the select board currently uses its voice enough. The select board can put out statements in service of the town, as representatives of the town. We are able to draft a letter that says, hey, Phil Scott, we'd like to see school taxes down. This is how we think you should do it. Send that to the governor. But outside of school taxes, the other, depending on where you live, 30, 40% of your taxes is from the town. I think a large portion of what we want to do, what we should do, could come from the police budget. Right? I think it's right there. It's very obvious we're spending almost $1 million a year on the police. What could we do with $1 million, right? I think long run, there's a lot of maintenance that's been deferred that we need to fix. Our buildings. Kimball's already been mentioned. East Valley Community Hall was alluded to, the building that is currently shuttered. This building that we're in here right now is a town building. All these buildings should be properly maintained. Proper maintenance currently saves you a lot of money on the back end, right? Spending money today saves us all money 20 years from now. I think we should focus on creating reserve funds for our buildings. I think we should focus more on doing preventative maintenance on the highways, right? We spend a lot of money on the highways, but we also sort of have a worst first model of managing them, right? We should, at the start of every spring, take inventory of all the cracks in the road and buck up, pay the money, and get them fixed to save us all money 5, 10 years from now on those same roads. That's everything I can think of right now, but let's cut the police budget first. Thank you.
Bethany.
I think we all need to keep ourselves more educated, and myself included. The older I'm getting, the more I'm paying attention to things and questioning things. I think, before you go in and vote in a couple weeks, think about what those appropriations might be that you're voting for, or that might be on our ballots this year, because a lot of times things that are on your appropriations are already actually line items also, often in the budget. I know when I was young, I used to just go through and vote yes, because I just didn't know any better and it seemed like the right thing to do. We'll just give them a little money here, but it all adds up in the end. So I think people just being educated, and I think word of mouth, he mentioned that already, the select board putting out information. We have to keep people educated to try to help with those budgets. And I think we need a master facilities plan for all of our buildings that the town has. It's so important. These are all old historic buildings. We all live in Vermont. There's not a lot of us that live in brand new homes. We have to do that, and to keep them, we can't be reactionary all the time. We have to plan ahead and try to budget. It will be save money by not being reactionary to it, and it'll keep our facilities in tip-top shape before they get to a place where they're not able to be, used or go into them and take part in them. Those would be my big things.
Thank you. Emery.
So I think I'm going to dive headfirst into some contentious waters again. Apologies in advance. I think that there was not enough discussion, and it should have been up to the townspeople, not the select board, regarding tax stabilization agreements. I know that was last year, but I've been doing some research on it. I wasn't able to locate the exemption contract for a hotel in the land records, and it wasn't readily accessible at the town manager's office. I will find that once they locate it. But my understanding is that of their $4.8 million assessed value, $4.4 million was exempted from taxes. I believe if their policy was followed, that would be 0% for 5 years, and then they'll ramp up to 20% yearly after that. So 10 years of tax stabilization, we'll call that, just exemption, really, based off of this. That's about $54,000 a year for the first 5 years, for a total of almost $400,000 for a decade. I understand that the hotel and other businesses keep us going. I mean, Gifford is a requirement to keep going for our towns to survive. I don't like the feeling that something's too big to fail, because 2008 is still fresh in my mind, but it is. We need Gifford, we need all these businesses, but I also think that we all need to share the burden collectively. A for-profit business should not write it into their business plan to not pay their fair share of taxes. I take issue with that. I respect the 3 locals who were very deeply involved and everyone that's been involved with it. I understand that the hotel is important for Gifford and some other entities, and there wasn't a hotel anywhere around. I'll leave my opinions about their name and logo over there. But I think we as a community should work together to share the load equally. If we're going to socialize for a for-profit capitalist business, then why not for the rest of us too? That's a huge other issue that's way beyond us, but the adage of socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the rest of us seems to be true, and seems to be true in our tiny town, and I take issue with that.
Thank you. We're going to hear from
I'd love to talk to you, please.
I'm going to hang on. No. Hold up. We're going to come down here to Ashley.
Property tax rates are increasing at an alarming pace, and much of this has to do with the growing cost of education. The majority of these increases are in the school budget. The reason we are feeling this increase year after year is due to the lack of growth as a community, and now we cannot keep pace with these costs in a stagnant economy. There's an opportunity to increase tax revenue by increasing our housing inventory and supporting the work of the Economic Development Coordinator. The town plan mentions an Economic Development Council. Let's reinvigorate this group to support the businesses we have, attract new ones, helping with the tax base. We need to understand what the barriers are to business investing in Randolph if we want to increase revenue through anything other than tax rates and housing. I also believe that if we shortchange long-term investments, that in some cases that only defers and increases the cost of maintenance for essential infrastructure, particularly roads and buildings.
Okay, our fifth question. We're going to start with Bethany. The fifth question is, with RACDC going away, closing, I guess is the right word, what are your feelings about carrying on Randolph's state downtown designation program? Do you see other areas of town, such as East Randolph, that could benefit from additional services, and what might they be? Where's the balance?
Yeah.
What do we do?
I think that the downtown designation is important just because it does allow for some grant funding for businesses to come in to the community. I fully support branching outside of downtown because downtown is not the only place here in Randolph. There's some other really great spots as well. I don't have the perfect answer for what that is for those places, but I think we've come far enough with the downtown designation and enough people have taken advantage of that and it's been of benefit for them. And it's not really hurting us. We do just need to figure out who's going to take that entity over now and represent us and that funding. I think we could look creatively at our Chamber of Commerce. Is that something that they can take on? And do they keep their focus more back in the Randolph communities versus I think they're starting to kind of outreach further to other towns now, and maybe that focus needs to be brought back to the Randolph areas because I think they could take that over. I think we're kind of sparsing out a lot of money to just several places, and everybody might kind of be working against each other or not for the same purpose. And if we could bring that all together and consolidate that a little bit more, it would be to the benefit of more of our own communities, from downtown to all of our East Randolph, Randolph Center, all the north, south Randolphs, all of them. So that would be what I'd like to see.
Thank you. And Dustin?
Thank you. So with RACDC going away, we do risk losing our downtown designation. The downtown designation does a lot more for our town than just give tax credits to businesses or access to revolving loan funds. There's a vibrancy fund that we receive $25,000 a year from the state. There are also priorities for businesses and nonprofits and buildings within the designated downtown to receive grant funding and a few other benefits. There's also a $125,000 a year transportation fund, which is good to have access to for each town. So yeah, I think we're probably all in agreement we need to keep the designation, but what I'm more focused on is what replaces RICDC. And I think as far as the select board goes, we need to make sure that we have a strong memorandum of understanding with whatever the new downtown corporation is. It'll be built out by citizens. It's already being worked on. They've had some great meetings that I've heard about so far. And we need to make sure we have a strong and clear contractual agreement with them like other towns do. And we need to bake things in there to keep our downtown corporation separate from our government. I think it'd be a good idea to have a conflicts of interest policy, right, with our new downtown corporation saying we would like you guys to have no one on your board who's in government, so we're fully separated and isolated, and we'd like to have no one who's actually a downtown business owner on your board because we don't want them making decisions for the broader downtown area that might be, built around perverse incentives. As far as our other parts of town go, in East Randolph at least, we already have a village center designation, which has some benefits, and we have a community group down there. I think we should work much more strongly with the East Valley Community Group, work on not just building out and fixing, hopefully, the community hall, but hearing what their needs are and inviting them to select board meetings. Maybe we can even give them money like we do for RICDC. They need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Emery.
I would be extremely redundant if I just didn't say I agree with that. And I do. I did look it up. 24 VSA section 2791(5) allows for the select board to create their own, make their decision about who the downtown development board will be, if it's not going to be a nonprofit making that decision. I know that the select board, as it stands now, they would like the Economic Development Committee to be probably one of their last pushes before they switch over to a new composition of the board. I think we should all focus on who those members might be and who we all as a community will want to be on that board to then decide who will be on the other board. We should just keep following. So, thank you.
Thank you. Gonna flip over here to Ashley.
I understand that Down Street will assume the current housing inventory in Randolph. This downtown designation has provided substantial grant support, and I would like to see how this could be expanded to the East Valley. As an example, there has been a committed group of community members trying to renovate the East Valley Community Center. Are funds available with the downtown designation to support these efforts? There's a new business at the former Greenwoods Farm Machinery dealership. What do they need to grow? How can investment in that village be beneficial to them and the property owners? These are opportunities I am interested in exploring and helping with. In RACDC's absence, I want to make sure the revolving loan fund remains available, as this has been town funding. These small loans can make a real difference for existing and new business owners, and it reflects the town's commitment to them.
All right. We're now going to ask a couple questions that you haven't had an opportunity to review in advance. And we're going to start with Emery. Emery, would you tell us about a time you disagreed with someone on a public or political issue, but were persuaded to change your mind?
I've definitely been persuaded. Right off the bat. Change your mind. Anyone know of one off the top of their head? I can talk about a time I've definitely admitted I was wrong.
Oh, tell us.
Great. That was my last service as your election official for the general election. The state sends everyone their ballots automatically. And then I failed to adequately prepare for that. And when people were bringing in their ballots, they were also bringing in their moms and their grandmas and their brothers and their husbands. And the entrance checklist didn't get everyone, and those staffing the ballot box didn't stop other people from putting 2 in. And so the total number of votes were 11 higher than the voters checked off the checklist, which my predecessor was keen to remind me that never happened under her watch. Because Joyce Mizuko is fantastic. And that one sits with me. It sits with me really hard, really, for obvious reasons. It didn't affect, ultimately, much, maybe one justice of the peace vote, and there was no way we could remedy it. I talked to the Secretary of State about it at length, and the best I can do is just admit it readily and often.
Mistakes happen.
They have remedied. Tammy has done a lot, and now there is also an exit checklist to prevent this from happening in the upcoming general election.
Bethany, how about you? Tell us about a time you disagreed with someone on a public or political issue, but were persuaded to change your mind. Or it could be a meaningful issue at work or something also.
Yeah, I think it's happened a lot in life, and I think being open to hearing the other side's view about things is really important, and being receptive to that and not closed off. Once you have more information and you've heard all those sides, you still have the right to make your choice, and I think that's really important, but you're making a more educated choice at that point. One thing that really stands out for me was when I was doing work with community outreach, and we were working with drug addiction, and we had a really wonderful provider at the time who that was his sole purpose. And this was kind of when safe injection sites and Narcan and all that were really hot topics. And I kind of had my feelings about them, and I wasn't sure how much I supported all of that. And the more I learned and listened to this particular provider, and he just really put it into perspective for me that safe sites were places that we could keep an eye on things. And it kept things out of the homes to keep kids safer. Narcan wasn't just to, bring back someone that's overdosed. It was for safety. Like if a child got into something they shouldn't have been into, or just someone accidentally got into something, but also to give those people that second chance, because that might have saved a lot of lives of a lot of people that might have turned out really wonderful now. And that just really changed my view. And I always, after I had that flip, it was nice to be able to share those same things that I learned from that particular provider, and just kind of make people see that in a different way. So that's my one that really sticks out for me.
Thank you. Dustin, tell us about a time you disagreed with someone on a public or political issue, but were persuaded to change your mind.
I will keep this short. I cannot think of any time that's happened. It probably has, but no guarantees. Thank you.
That's awesome. Okay, another question, and we're going to start with Dustin on this one. Several select board members have told me that serving in the role is practically a part-time job. Outgoing chairwoman Trini Broussard dedicated hundreds of hours a year to keeping up with the work. How will you fit the time commitment into your busy schedule?
Thank you, Kelly. This one is pretty straightforward. I don't have a busy schedule. I'm lucky enough to have a job that I work 9 to 5, and outside of that, I don't have any children. My job is a 9 to 5. I don't have any overtime I need to put in. I'm very lucky in that regard. So technically, I have a lot of free time, and I'm happy to dedicate it to this. I've dedicated a lot of my free time to this campaign, to going out and knocking on doors and meeting people, doing research, figuring out who's who in town and what goes on, and I'm more than happy to keep dedicating that time after the election, if I'm elected, on this town, to find out every little thing I can and work in service of it as much as possible, like a part-time job.
Thank you. How about you, Bethany?
I don't have time. I am not going to lie. It's probably my biggest fear, actually, in running, and was one of my biggest holdbacks and why I didn't agree earlier. Just where do I put it all? But I always seem to figure out how to get it all done, despite kids and sports and a job and a farm. And I also think it's all those things that keep me really busy, that have me very grounded and in touch with what is going on in the community. And just kind of that depth of like historical knowledge that I have. I think sitting on the committees that I have over the years, things like that. I will dedicate the time to learn about the things that I need to know more about when hot topics are on the table, or if we're in a meeting and I don't know enough about something, I want to make an educated decision, so I'm going to make that time. I'll sleep later. But yeah, I mean, I won't lie. It will be another part-time job in my life, but willing to take that on.
Thank you. And how about you, Emery? You've got a lot going on.
Same as Bethany, yeah.
How are you going to do it?
I do have 2 toddlers that take up. Yeah, great, thank you. But I plan to put a lot of time into it. I actually want us to double the amount of times that the select board meets. I want Randolph to meet twice a month, like the other towns around us do. Even if they have a town manager or not, it seems to not matter. A lot of towns meet twice a month. I believe that would allow the public to interact more often and also have more issues be able to be more developed faster. Not just over the years, but also we can say, oh, we don't quite have this piece. Let's come back in 2 weeks instead of next month, because things just keep adding up and adding up and adding up. And that's what adds too much pressure to everyone and being like, this is... And then there's also this, I understand it, because we have this mentality of the volunteer force, not just in the select board, but also the legislature where I work. What it leads to is that mostly only those that are either retired or otherwise available can do that. The select board right now makes $1,000 a year pre-tax, so about $670, I think. Right now, that won't be enough to cover the cost of the babysitter that I will be paying for on Thursdays. That's just a cost I will eat until the town says otherwise.
Thank you so much. All right, so what we're going to do next is, if you have written a question, we're not going to take live questions. If you have written a question, what I want you to do is to pass them down the line, and then I will vet them. Tim will grab them. Yep. She can't, unfortunately.
We can get in touch and see if she can answer it when I write the story for the Herald. That works.
Well, there you go. There is an answer to that. Yeah. So pass your questions down. We're not going to have questions from the floor.
Why?
Because that's just not how we agreed. That's not the agreement we made with the candidates.
But that's not fair.
Oh, it's totally fair.
Be able to ask questions, and you're pulling a Trini Bassard. You
Oh,
really are.
no. Here, the candidates will make their email address, have made their email address available, and you can call them. But we didn't plan that in advance for them.
Why not?
We just didn't think we would have time.
Okay.
But give me the questions, and write a question.
In the meantime, is there an email address or a website or something we can reach you guys at?
I want to just say something. Many of us are here because we believe our previous select board and town officials have been keeping us in the dark and have been, sort of have their own agenda. What you're doing kind of corroborates that, particularly when you say you're going to look at those questions and you're going to determine which ones you're going to ask them.
Just to make sure that they've not already been asked.
Kelly?
I'm just pointing out that this is, I think what Michael was saying, you may not have intended it that way. But what I hear is the same thing that Michael hears is we need to open this up. We need to be able to talk to our candidates. We need them to be able to answer without preparation, just to hear what people say and to give their responses. And I think putting any barriers in between that, for me at least, sort of leads me to believe, well, what is the change going to be around here? Because we want to see a good select board. We want to see a good town.
All right, I want to ask some of these, get these questions in. This is a good question. If you aren't elected, how will you support the town and the select board? Let's start with Emery.
I will be here. We plan to be here until we retire. I hope our kids grow up and remain here. It seems like the default is that everyone expects the kids to go away and just hope that they come back. I'd like us to have our kids have reasons to stay. I will be involved as to the degree they'll let me. I think I'm maybe now a bit too contentious, but I will always work with everyone, even those who yelled at me for being a tax collector, which I totally understand. Those that said that I deserve to be hung for being an election official, I still talk with them. I talk with them on the phone until they realize that they were in the wrong and apologized. And that's important to me. You know, they couldn't take back a lot of the words that they said, but they still apologized, and I appreciate that. And so that's the level of dedication I will bring. Even if I'm not elected, my wife will be very happy, but I will remain involved. Thank you.
Great. And Bethany, how about you?
Yeah, I will keep doing what I'm doing currently in the capacities that I'm serving. If some of these committees get put back together, I would be happy to take part in those, from the economic development to like planning committees. I think you're really, I love that we agree on a lot of things. I think that that's great, and I hope that means we're all moving in the right direction. So no matter who you end up with, I think you're going to be in really good hands. And I hope that those of us that, you know, whomever doesn't get elected does take a seat, like on the planning commission or development review board. You know, I just think we all have a lot of good things to bring to the table, and I hope that we all stay involved in some form or fashion.
Thank you. And Dustin?
If I'm not elected, I will firstly take a very long nap. And then after that, I do plan to keep going to select board meetings, staying up to date in town, maybe using my newfound speaking skills to voice my concerns to the select board and to our various other committees. I might consider joining the budget committee. It doesn't seem to get a lot of love. I think it could use some of that.
Thank you. This is an interesting question next. I'm going to just slightly reframe it from how it was written. But could you tell us your thoughts on solving the problem of workforce housing in the region? And let's start with Bethany.
I think we have some opportunity. The last select board meeting that took place, there was actually a presentation on some mapping that allows for less restrictions on some land within all of our towns that can be developed, which was actually a really interesting conversation, and I really enjoyed. I think that we do have spaces available, and there's already been some things in the works with the select board with planning for, getting sewer and water to some additional places. So I just think we need to take down those barriers and allow for these places to be built to allow that increased workforce housing that brings people to our community, that lessens the burden on all of us that are already here, and can also bring some business back to the community. So yeah, I think there's already a lot of really great ideas of places that are out there now. And nobody's ever going to love all of them, let's be real. Because somebody's always going to live right next to it or live near it. And so I think that's tricky. It's tough, but it's got to be the best plan that serves the most people in the best way possible without too much disturbance, and keeping our beautiful charm and historic feel too as well, because I don't want to see us become a huge metropolis.
Thank you. Emery.
Agreed. I'll reiterate what I was saying about the vacancies and the blighted properties. We've got a bunch of them. We can change that. For other housing, I serve as a justice of the peace, and so and before that, as town clerk, been on the Board of Civil Authority and the Boards of Abatement. On Boards of Abatement, we've heard at least, I think, twice a year, someone say, my water pipe burst because that was in the half of the house that I keep unheated. And I don't remember all the statistics from Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Commission who gave that presentation. They do great work. But there is a statistic out there, and it was a surprising number that a lot of large houses are occupied by one or maybe two people, and only half the year at that. I don't know the statistic, and I don't want to step on the toes of, freedoms, but that seems to be a big issue. We're letting a lot of our properties, unfortunately, fall to the wayside, and there's not a lot of opportunity for families to come in and the workforce.
Thank you. Dustin.
Yeah, I think Emery's right with taking a good inventory of vacant housing, figuring out what the town can do about said vacant housing, either identifying the current owners or leveraging our capability to use tax sale to put someone in those houses who needs to be there. But we can also just incentivize buildings to be built here and in the right spaces. What often happens in rural areas is over time there is pressure for housing, right? Workforce housing, just housing in general, and lower productivity land tends to want to be sold, right? A good example would be there aren't too many cornfields here, but a cornfield out in the middle of nowhere where the farmer's not finding much profit from it anymore. He might find a developer who says, I'd love to put a development here. They do that, and now you have the start of sprawl, and you begin losing some of your natural resources, right? I won't take 20 minutes on this, but sprawl is bad. It's good to have dense, centralized downtowns, and that is what Two Rivers is trying to help us incentivize with deregulating the Act 250 provisions here in our downtown and in East Valley. And the Select Board should take that decision seriously and make sure we pick the correct areas to deregulate these environmental regulations. And they should also take seriously the fact that they need to find ways to get more housing built in the existing land. Everyone, or not everyone, a lot of people I've talked to look around in the village and say, there's nowhere else to put a house. There are plenty of places to put a house. There used to be a house where the Rite Aid was. Now it's just a big empty building, right? You look at old maps of Randolph, a lot of these sprawly businesses we have, like the gas stations and the Rite Aid, they were houses. You could put 10 apartments there, right? You can get denser housing in your villages. This helps the businesses nearby. This helps the towns remain walkable. We need to incentivize that. We need to figure out what we're doing in our zoning code, right? Where is high-density housing? Is it just here in the village? Is it in East Randolph? I think it should be. And are we going to let any more Rite Aids be built in our downtowns? I don't think we should. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm prioritizing these questions by questions that are novel, that haven't been asked, right? We want to get as many ideas on the table as possible. And so here's a question. How do you think ICE policies could impact our community farms, and what do you think you as a select board member could do about it? Let's start with Bethany.
That's not fair.
Well, since you have a farm.
This is a tough one. I don't know. I don't know what the select board's role is in that and what our say is in that. I think sometimes we have opportunity at the town level to make choices before the state makes a choice for us. So I do think that we need to proactively think about those things seriously. I don't know what our role is regarding ICE and, immigration coming into our community. I would have to do a whole lot of learning about that and talk to people a whole lot more knowledgeable than I. That would not be a decision I made lightly at all. I will say that at our farm, we benefit from a wonderful family that is here providing service for us that we could not find any other way. They didn't show up. They were never there. They wanted a lot of money that farmers can't afford to pay. And now we have consistent employment and a wonderful family, and that we consider part of our family now just because they play a big role in our lives. And we're very thankful for that. And I hope that there's a way that we can figure out how to have folks coming who are contributing and paying taxes and helping just better our community and keep businesses going, because without them, a lot of these businesses would not be here anymore.
Thank you. Dustin.
Thank you. This is a hard question, but I do think there are a couple things the town could do pretty concretely. ICE's funding has been out of control over the last year and a half, and their workforce has doubled in size, from my understanding. Right now, they're in a very chaotic state. They're not always abiding by the law, and I would argue they weren't doing that before, but now it's a lot worse. I think the first thing the town could do is, if we have a police department, which we do, and we will when Emery and I are elected, if we're elected, or Ashley and Bethany are elected when they're elected, is tell the police department to not cooperate with ICE to the extent that they can while remaining within the law, right? Don't give up any information voluntarily if there are no warrants. Do not help them. They are becoming a modern-day Gestapo, and we don't want that in our town. Outside of that, I think the select board can, if we wanted to, create a small community program or task force to make sure that everyone can be alerted if there's any ICE activity in town. And I think that could be extremely beneficial if there is ever any ICE activity in town.
Thank you. And how about you, Emery?
This is a tough question. I'm glad I had a bit more time to think about it. I agree with Dustin that we should talk to our police and make sure to figure out a policy for our police force and how they will or will not cooperate. I believe they should not cooperate to the extent of the law. I know our state legislature has a couple of bills, S-208 and S-209, in the process regarding some of this. We should keep an eye out on that. I don't, as Dustin has said, I agree with him that I don't believe that the way ICE is acting is the way we want them to act. I think our immigrant workforce is very important I've worked alongside them growing up, picking strawberries, picking asparagus, pumpkins, Christmas trees, landscaping in the summer. I've done all of that with them. The strawberries were $2.50 an hour when I was a kid. It's hard work. We should respect them. They are part of our communities. I will admit that I don't know anyone personally in our town, and I'd like to change that. Because I believe there are some immigrant workforce here.
Okay, thank you. Here is a different question, hasn't been brought up before. How can the select board make the water in the village safe to drink? Let's start with Dustin. I switch it up.
That's a good question. I would defer to the water treatment facilities manager on that. I don't actually know. I know we have a report because we have elevated magnesium levels. Manganese. Thank you. From my understanding, we are still working to get that under control. And if we need to fund our water treatment facility more to get that under control, I think we should do that. But I do not really understand the scope of the problem. I've just trusted the water I've been drinking while I've lived here. So, thank you.
Thank you. How about Emery?
I do drink the water, even though there's a lot of concern about that. I know Chris Chambers to be an upstanding employee, and we're lucky to have him. I know the manganese is a bit of an issue. The Pearl Street well isn't as good as it could have been. We've done a lot of work on our reservoir, and I believe that's great. I did find it odd when I first started working for the town that the town employees don't drink the town water. That sits weird with me, and I'll admit that. The water cooler water does taste better than the town water, but I still drink the town water, and so does my family. You can watch us for the next 30 years and see how we change.
Thanks, Bethany.
I'm not going to lie. I've always been thankful that I really didn't live in town as far as the water goes, because I've seen what it used to do to the dishwasher. My dad did live in town for me growing up, and I remember opening the dishwasher and seeing how brown it was, and I was like, what in the world? Because I was really blessed in Braintree with spring water, and I'm still that blessed in Randolph Center also with good well water. That is a problem, and I can't actually believe that we're still talking about it, because this has been a problem since I was a kid. Like I said, brown dishwashers and boil water orders, and it is a problem. I think it kind of goes back to that master facilities plan too, though, if we can be pre-planning on how to make that better. But just like these guys have said, I would be turning to our experts in our water department, because I am not going to claim to be an expert in water and how to make it better. I know like fluoride was an issue for a while. I mean, the fact that it's brown, that you guys pay for it and you turn your faucets on and it's brown like that, that is a major problem. And if I was on the select board and we have a way to make that better, I will definitely fight for that wholeheartedly, because brown water is not okay.
We've talked quite a bit about facilities and maintaining the facilities in a variety of questions, but this question is very specific, and I wanted to ask you about it on behalf of this audience member. In what way might you fund the repair of the library cupola if you support this repair? Let's start with Emery.
Cool. I don't think it's realistic to do this exact cut, but if we reduce our police budget by 50% for 2 years, we've got ourselves a roof for our library. That could be done. It's not all that much. About 10 years ago, when the issue was first known, it was going to be, I think, around $200,000, and now it's over $800,000. So sitting around waiting for it to get better didn't help. We need to work on it. It's a cupola that has a lot of issues. I've seen the report from 10 years ago. I assume it's worse now. I know they've done some temporary repairs. There's been a proposal to get rid of the cupola and just do a flat roof. I don't see how that's any cheaper. And it's directly contradicts our town plan of preserving our historic value. When you go into our library, please look up to see our beautiful stained glass and the names of the founders of our town. If we get rid of that cupola, we get rid of our history. It's a beautiful building. It's a beautiful part of our building. We should fix it.
Bethany,
The cupola.
in what way, if you support the fix, the repair, how would you do it? How would you get it done?
I think we need to do fundraising. I think the town needs to pitch in as well, but Chandler did a wonderful job many, many years ago at raising money to add that amazing addition that we have on. I wasn't really here when all that happened, so I hope I'm speaking about that properly, but I know that I remember the big thing on the side of the building with the money going up. And I think that we can do that. There's money out there. There's people that will donate for these things. And because we can't just magically make money in our town budget. But again, that master facilities plan is going to help these things in the future, but we can't let that cupola go anywhere. That's a piece of history in this town that is so important. And it's an amazing historic building, and there's got to be some laws around that even, I feel like, because it's a historic building. I think I have to get permission on our house to change the front of it because it's part of the Historical Homes Society. So there's rules to protect that. We will have to figure out a way to pay for that because we've waited too long and now it's more expensive, unfortunately, and hopefully we can learn from that. But cupola has to stay.
Thank you. Dustin.
Thank you. So our library has already secured, I think, $300,000 or so in grants to help restore the cupola. Currently, there's a grant sitting in limbo for $150,000. The select board has been resistant to accept that over the last 6 months because it comes with a historic easement. I don't care about the historic easement. Let's accept that grant. The easement just says we need to keep the building looking as is. I think we're all in agreement on that. So if I'm elected next month, we're accepting that grant. After that, for the rest of the money, it'd be great if we could just slash the police budget and boom, here's the money. I do think there are two avenues that need to be gone down at the same time. One, I think fundraising makes a lot of sense. The library board of trustees is already planning a capital campaign. I believe the select board should work side by side with them instead of working adversarially against them. And on top of that, I don't think it's out of reason to accept a loan for this. For I believe it was the Centennial project here at Chandler, they accepted a loan. We're still paying it for the next 4 years, I think. It's a very big loan. I think it's tens of thousands of dollars a year. The one for the library would be smaller. It would only be, $100,000, $200,000 to make up after the fundraising campaign. But I believe we need to get the money this year before it gets any more expensive, before we risk losing our beautiful cupola. It's a standout feature on that building right there.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to conclude the candidate forum. The candidates have all, I think every single person has posted their personal contact information on Front Porch Forum and in other ways. And I know that I personally know that they're all absolutely willing to talk to anyone who reaches out to them for more information about specific subjects.
Yeah, and we're just ending here now because, Orca's got to go, right? And you probably have to go, but if we're free, we can all just sit here and take questions,
I think
right?
No,
we got to go. Never mind. All
Mr. Rapson, who's representing Chandler, says people can stick around. But he gets the final say because he's running the building as to when everyone has to leave, okay?
I'll start singing off-key when people need to leave, but until that time, I want to make sure anybody here who has something that didn't get addressed has a chance, face-to-face, to talk to these candidates, find out what they want to know. So I will stick around and lock up after everybody's done, and if you're not done, by the time I'm ready for dinner, I'll start singing.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Let's give everybody an opportunity who needs to leave to leave before we continue on.